Your modem is self-destructing as you are watching this video. Welcome back to Pushing Technology to the Limit. Today I want to show you how to prolong your modem life. Let me show you a couple of modems that I have here on my table. And I'm going to explain why they are self-destructing. So I've had one brand modem for 5 years, so that is 3 years longer than it should have lasted. And why is that? Because I took some preventative measures to help it extend its life. Now, on this video, I actually have two older films that I'm putting together. One I actually drug out from one of my archives, and I played it on an old YouTube channel, and one you've never seen before. I actually documented both of the transformations as far as when I installed the fans on my modems and when I replaced the fans. So we'll get to that in the later of this video. Let me get to showing you what my modems look like and what yours look like too as well. So here's your typical Verizon DSL modem. And it could be any modem for that matter. It could be cable, fiber optics, you name it, whatever company that you are with. Now it looks very nice. I mean, this is actually my spare tire, and what I mean by that is when I'm starting to have a failure with a modem, I plug this in to see if it actually works better. So you might think that this is ventilation right here. Looks like ventilation. And as I rotate this device, looks like more ventilation on the bottom. Some on the side, left and right. Let's see here. So, and it looks like that there's well ventilated, but not really. These things are designed to die, so that they will cook within 2 years. And depending on how much information you put through it, whether you've got a lot of computers on your network, it's going to depend how hard this modem works. So let me show you what I did to my modem. It's not a Verizon modem, but it's a Zoom ADSL modem. Let's see here. So here's my modem. Now this is one that has been giving me some fits because it's, like I said, it's 5 years old and it lasted way longer than it should have. It should have conked out probably about, now let's see here, probably about 2016 if I bought them in, yeah, there's a date installed right here. And I do this all the time just so I can see how long that a particular piece of equipment lasts. So I installed this in 2014. So we're not really at the 5-year limit yet, but it's this year. It would be 5 years in April. Now I started having problems with my internet in December of last year, in 2018. So all you have to do is just drill a hole in your modem like I did, and then that fixes your problem. So right now my entire network is a mess. I have 3 of these modems, and I've got one backup unit running as well as one that's kind of dying. So let me show you what's going on in my basement. So here's my spare tire modem. Now I didn't waste my time with putting fans or any of that stuff on it because I'm not going to use it that long. I got brand new modems on order, and I still got one of the ones that are in the process of dying, but the new one is actually taking over, and this one isn't used so much. And I've got another one sitting down here that I have to replace as well. So that one's off, and there's a whole reason why I've got 3 different internet connections. And if you want to know, I'll tell you that in a little bit. So, what's involved with doing this little project. Now, it didn't cost me that much money to do this. I've listed some prices in my other videos, and they may not apply today when you are watching this video. But the replacement fans I bought in 2016 were about $15 for 5 of them. And all you need is a drill and a bit. And you want to get the size bit that will actually open up the hole wide enough for your fan. And you may need to do some other preventative measures, like keeping the screw heads from shorting out your circuit board on your modem. And I've done that in these ones that I've fixed up myself. And it saves you a whole heap of problems when your modem is working better and longer. Now, it's too bad that the modems do not last any longer than 5 years, but that's pretty stinking good compared to 2 years when I was throwing money out the window like crazy. And the reason why I have 3 internet connections is for the fact that we need the most speed as we can get. And actually 3 of our lines, each line is about 6 megabytes. So on a good day, we're receiving about 20 megabytes down, and about, probably about 3 megabytes up, 3 or 4 megabytes up. Isn't bad, but it's expensive. I'm not complaining about that, but I'm more happy with the fact that the modems last longer the way I fixed them up. Now, if you're interested in fixing up your modem so it lasts longer than expected, keep watching this video, because now we're going to get to the video clips that I've made previous to this video. Hello. I wanted to show you a project I'm going to be working on today. I have 3 DSL Zoom modems. And I just found out last night that this one right here gets really hot. And I'm going to be putting fans on the top of these, on each modem. I'm going to get started here and with the project. First off, locate the screws, which are under these foot pads on each of them, and you got to pull those off. Now here in this modem, there's 2 more screws right there and right there. You got to take that out and get the circuit board out. Alright, there's the top of the unit. I'll be using a 3-inch drill that makes the round hole. Be sure that you get a slab of wood, preferably flat. I couldn't find one, so I had to use just a hunk of firewood. That's pretty well flat for me. This drill bit right here takes 3-in-1 oil. So be sure you oil your drill bit before you start drilling. On this particular model, make sure that you have the top laying flat down, so you don't put pressure on the plastic mounting holes that are on the sides of it. There's a perfect hole right for the top of it, for the fan to sit over. Alright, so now I got one of the screws through the lid to mount the fan onto. These are 12-volt fans for computers. Alright, this is what it's going to look like when it's fully completed. Now on the bottom of this, you're going to have to use, you can see the heads are a little bit rounded. Either if you have flat or rounded heads, you're going to have to put either glue or black tape over them so that the circuit board doesn't short out. Because this was not meant for a ventilation fan. As you can see, I black taped up the screws. Now that fan is a little bit bigger than the hole is, but that's not going to matter. Alright, now before I totally mount the fan onto the top of the modem, I got these little nuts on the screw. That's supposed to prop the fan up high enough, not too high, but just so that the fan blades do not rub against the top of the cover. Now for the final touch, I put wing nuts so that if you ever had to remove the fan, because if it dies, because it will die after a while, you can easily remove it and put another one on there. I wanted to show you that these fans were installed now on top of my modems. A little bit louder down here now with those fans going. I got a 3-amp power supply. But those things run really cool. I don't know if you can hear those fans or not. There's already some fans running down here from some other equipment. Here's the 3-amp power supply. And that's about it. Sound test. Welcome back to Pushing Technology to the Limit. Today we are doing a sound check and replacing our fans on our modems. It's been 2 years since I have installed the modems and installed these fans. So today I'm going to actually show you that these fans are quieter than the ones that are running back here behind me. My modem fans are actually in the process of dying. One has stopped. I was able to get it going again, but it is actually time to replace these fans. They run hot all the time, so I'm going to show you these fans and the modems, and I'm actually going to redo the video because I have it on storage. It was on another channel that I did previously to this this one. So I will either combine them together or upload them separately so you can actually click on each one, and I'll just show you a comparison on the fans. And these were actually used fans that I installed 2 years ago, so they've lasted pretty long time for 24 hours a day for 2 years. That's not bad for a used fan. And actually these were, if you want to talk about price right now, these were $20 a fan back when I bought them in a computer store. I didn't buy them online. These ones I bought online for $15 for 5 of these. That's a good price. There's one thing I want to point out about these fans that I just bought on the internet. Where the label is, this is actually the back. What I did, because I haven't installed them yet, is I've actually tested them, and it actually blows out what is the bottom of the fan. So that to me is, I don't know, built backwards. I have no idea why, but usually where they have the logo is the front. But you can see that the actual fins are going the wrong direction. They have to be here, so that they, well, I'm turning it the wrong way, but anyhow, the other thing about this fan I just found out is this has 3 wires. See if I can, I don't know if you can see the black one or not. So this, typically in a computer system, if you're going to use that there, and that's what these were for, but I've actually taken the plugs off from the motherboard and just stripped them bare. And so yellow is, let's see if I can get it up there closer. Yellow is the 12-volt wire. The red is the 5-volt wire. And the black is the ground. I found out that these wires are actually in reverse. Actually, the yellow one doesn't work at all, and I don't know what they're using it for, but the red wire here, which is basically what you use on just a 12-volt system, would, and like the ones that I originally bought, I'll show you those later, that they just have red and black. So those I know are 12 volts and ground. But usually when you have a 2-speed fan, it's just yellow is for 12 and red is for 5 and black is for ground. So this is really kind of a different setup, and I found it confusing because I was wiring it the way I normally wire it for those that do work on computers and replace fans from time to time in their towers. That this is the typical setup for your tower. So when I bought these fans, I thought that they were going to be 5 and 12. But here on the box, I don't know if you can read it or not. I don't want to get too close here. But the label actually says 12 volts DC. So obviously these are not 5 and 12. They're just 12 volts. But and they don't even give you a wire diagram for the 12 on this box, and there's nothing in it except for the fans and the mounting screws. So for the price, I think they'll work. But I'm just letting you know right off the bat, for those that do work on these computer systems, that if you're planning to use your fan for something else other than a computer, I don't know what they're using that 12 volt wire for when the 12 volts is actually on the red. So just a word of advice, if you watched my video the last time to install fans on your modems, to actually shut the power off when replacing your existing fans that you've previously installed. What happened today, and I was so thankful that I turned off the power, and actually I turned off the power because I was doing a network reset where I just shut down everything and let them cool down and then reboot everything after a while. I actually did this overnight so that the equipment, all the computers and networking had a good 8 hours to cool off, which is probably a little bit longer than it needs to be, but I just want to be sure that everything is worked out, because I was actually having problems with transferring some things yesterday, so I want to make sure that everything's working just fine now. So I'm going to actually temporarily plug this into my power supply so you can actually hear how loud that fan runs, and it is much quieter for one of these new ones than one of those old ones I bought, and they were loud to start on 12 volts. So that is pretty pathetic, but that's to show you the advanced in technology that we've got now compared to when I bought these back 2 years ago. We have our fan just temporarily plugged into our power supply. You can actually hear the wind blowing through on the microphone here. This is actually quieter than one of those other ones, and I'm actually going to take apart one of those other ones and plug them in. You can hear the sound difference between the two fans. So this is the new one. Let me get away from the actual blowing so that you can actually hear the sound difference. As you can see right now, that the power lights are off on this modem. Actually, I've unplugged the entire power supply so I could get it out of this cabinet. As you can see, my modem is slightly a cob job because it was not ventilated properly from the company. This Zoom modem is an excellent modem to get. I highly recommend these Zoom modems. I'm not going to tell you the model number of this one because they're upgraded now to a different modem model number. But I actually drilled out the hole and put these 4 screws posts in to mount my fans, which are on my first video that I did to show you how to do that. So this is slightly dangerous because what I did is I dropped one of my wing nuts into the circuit board. Let me tell you, if that was on, it would have been a goner for a modem. Here are my actual wing nuts that I'm using. So here's my new fan installed on the modem. I found with installing this one, it was a little bit harder than putting the old one on and off. I'm not quite sure why that was, but it wasn't too bad. I just had to make sure that all the screws were lined up into the mounting holes on the fan. That, I think, it might have been my problem more than the fan itself, because this fan is 80 millimeters and the old fans are 80 millimeters. So this is the old fan that I had, and this is actually the front, and it blows out the front. And this is the back. You can actually see that this one was used because it's all covered in dust. So this fan only had black and red, so that was 12 and negative. But the other one looks like that it should have 5 and 12, but it's not. So here's the old fan. I can tell the difference. I don't know if you can tell on the internet there or not. Come again over here so that you're not being wind whipped by the fan here. So here's the new one versus the old one. Now, you might not be able to tell the difference by testing one, but I had all 5 running earlier, and I will install all 5 new ones and we'll see exactly how loud it is all together. I can tell just by being on site here that this one is quieter than the old one. And it's a little bit hard to see in here, but I do have all 3 new fans installed on my modems. Except now I got to mount the put the wire nuts back on and get them all mounted so they don't pop off, and to keep the screws from since these are not a professional job done, putting the wing nuts back on eliminates the problem of the screws hitting the circuit board by accident. Even though I did put protective covering under there, I have not gone under there to actually find out if it's still there or not. So it's safer just to tie them all down again by screwing them together, and so that they are not rattling any more than they have to. I wanted to show you why I like these fans better. See, I've only got 2 sitting on the shelf right now. I've got the 3rd one dangling down here. And the reason why I like them is because look how long those fan cables are. Now, for those that are doing computers, you might not think, well, they aren't that great. But I like them because they give me more spacious room to work with my modems, and I can actually just have one kind of sitting down there. It's being held up by the power cable and the phone line, and it's not putting any stress on anything. It's just easily just sitting there. So I wanted to show you that, and I do have most of my screws back into these modems. Now, just for a little test here, I turned just these 3 fans on first to see how loud it was. Actually, it's quite a bit of difference of sound compared to the old dying fans. Yeah, they were a little bit louder because they were dying, but they were loud to start with. It wasn't anything to do whether they were new or old, but the old has something to do with the rattling fans. And the other ones are just purring along and they sound great. So here on this cupboard, I have 2 more fans to replace. I have the one there that you see it's visible right now, and so you can see that one there on the right hand side. It's so dark over there it's hard to even see it on the camera as I'm filming this thing. So these 2 fans are dying as well, and these were actually my first fans I ever bought from Radio Shack, and those were expensive little fans for what they are today. So here's my old Radio Shack fan that I'd just taken off my cupboard. I wanted to show you the wiring diagram on this fan, just so if you run across it in your installation of buying fans, because I'm not sure what other brands are out there, but they all use different kinds of wire colors. Now this fan used red for 12, and then they had blue for negative. So that's not so hard to figure out. It just looks awkward because I'm used to black. One thing, I don't know if you can see this on this fan over here. I just noticed it. Let's see, let me turn it so that we can actually view it here. There's actually arrows on this fan that shows you which way the airflow is. Now, I never saw that until I'm installing the last fan. So it shows you which rotation it spins and which direction it blows out. Well, as of now, I have all 5 fans running, and I'm ready to turn my network back on so that everybody can get connected to the internet again. But it still is just a little bit noisy, not bad compared to the old fans. But I don't care if they're loud down here, because nobody lives down here. It's just a room full of equipment, and everybody just lives upstairs. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on cooling fans, and I will see you next time to the Pushing Technology to the Limit. So I hope this video helped you to solve your modem failure problems. Now, not every single time that you have an internet issue that you will have a modem failure, but a lot of times it is the modems that are dying. Now, I didn't go into this earlier into the video, but our internet was going up and down. So it was going fast, then it would go slow. Some days we couldn't even get on it, and I mean it was just poking so bad. And I called the internet service provider, and they couldn't figure it out. So I decided, well, heck with this. I'm going to put my spare tire on and see what happens. And come to find out that it was my modem more or less than it was the service provider. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it. Please subscribe and tell others about the helpful videos that you watch on this channel. And I'll see you the next time on Pushing Technology to the Limit.